I'm in Las Vegas right now with my feet up on the couch, talking to you guys.
All right. What would you rather be doing right now?
Fly fishing.
Awesome. All right. We just got off the phone with one of your teammates, Martin Catman. We had a real good talk with him. He seems to think that you are going to just, and to quote him, you're going to beat Gunnar Nelson's ass. So props to your opponent, to your teammates for having your back there. What are your thoughts on that?
I couldn't agree more with him.
Okay. Can you give me a little bit more detail there?
Yeah. He's going to be a little difficult. He's got a somewhat of a Machida style stance, but he's by no means as accurate or as deadly as a Machida, karate fighter. He got a lot of holes in his game. I think he's predominantly a lot better on the ground than he is, anywhere else in the fight as far as wrestling and as far as striking. I believe I got him in those departments hands down. From what I hear, and this is just what I hear, he's pretty badass at grappling. Earned his black belt in 4 years, and so we'll see just how his grappling is. I feel that if I don't feel like I want to, play that game with him, I have the options to control that. So, he's on a win streak. I've fought plenty of guys that's on a 10, 14, 11, win streak, and I'm their first loss on the record. So I plan on being Gunnar Nelson's first loss, and I don't even know I plan on finishing him. To be honest with you.
So let me ask you this, Mike. When people look at this fight, they look at the attributes of Gunnar Nelson. They allude to exactly what you just said. His grappling. He has had good success at the Pan Ams in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's done fairly well at ADCC. But you've also fought a lot of high-level ground guys. Guys like Jake Shields, Ricardo Almeida. Does he really, when you look at a guy that's pretty much predominantly a jiu-jitsu guy, or that's where his strength is, does a guy like this is he gonna pose any problems that you really haven't seen? You've had 34 professional fights at this point against top guys in the UFC and other organizations. Does his grappling, is there a different side that, is he going to show something that you probably haven't seen before?
Well, I can't honestly answer that question until, maybe a post-fight interview with you. But to tell you the truth, from what I've seen, there was nothing, crazy that he did when he fought DeMarcus Johnson. He just took his back and he choked him, and that's not, no disrespect to DeMarcus Johnson, but, he's not that good. So he took his back and choked him. What's he do? It wasn't a crazy move. He didn't do something, that was, oh my God, did you see that? Or, there was nothing, Damon Maya-esque, if you know what I'm saying, slick like that. He, I'm sure, without a doubt, a guy that's decorated that well in the grappling world is going to pose a threat. But like I say, the only way he's going to pose that threat is to get me on the ground, and I'm going to predict the pace in that fight. And if I don't want the fight to go to the ground, it ain't going to. I'll guarantee you that. I don't think that his experience is up to par with mine when it comes to MMA. We're not at Abu Dhabi. We're not at the Pan Ams. We don't have our gis on. I'm going to punch him right in his mouth, and I'm going to make him quit. So I feel like that, yes, to answer your question, yes, there is a possibility he might throw, a couple of, slick guard passes or ways to mount or something that I'm not quite used to. Because he did look slick. His grappling looked pretty good against Santiago. He passed his guard, mounted him really nice. It was, it was good. It looked good. It was nice and smooth. His transitions are, pretty on point. But I just feel like that the pressure, if it hits the ground, I'm on top. And if I am on bottom, then I am on bottom. I've faced a lot of tough guys, and I train with a lot of slick, tough guys. So will he throw something at me? Yeah, he probably will, but I think with my experience, I'll be able to deal with it just fine.
When you look back, you're riding a 3-fight win streak. The only hiccup in recent memory has been Rory McDonald. Other than that, you'd be riding a 6-fight win streak. What did you take from the Rory McDonald fight, if anything at all? And what's changed for you so differently? Your UFC career has been really, 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 really well so far. Like I said, the only hiccup has been Rory McDonald, and he is very highly touted. People are putting him into the mix now with the top four or five welterweights in the division. So, what do you think has changed for you that you put on such impressive performances in the last few years?
Well, first of all, thanks for the recognition. The thing is after I guess the main thing that I learned after the McDonald fight is I need a bit more attention in the coaching area and make sure that I have a bit more focus on me. This is not really a team sport, but you do train with a team. You support each other that way, but when it comes fight time, you really need to have some good eyes on you, some good coaching, and some guys that are going to be very attentive to you on a daily basis throughout your entire camp. When you got 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 guys that coaches are trying to bounce around to all day, you really don't get that special attention that you need. So the change that I made after that McDonald fight was I hired some coaches that will be there 24/7 if I needed them to be, and really break things down, really pay attention to me and my career, and just be there, whenever I need it, because unfortunately, as fighters, we got to be a bit selfish with our time, and the money that we're spending on our training, it's got to be very particular and on key, on point. So that was the biggest thing that I took away from that fight was, hey, I really need to sit back. I need to reinvent myself right now. I need to, no disrespect to any of the coaches that I was training with at the time, but their hands were full, and that's fine. It was the best change that I made in my career, or the best move that I made was getting some coaches that were there for Mike Pyle's fight. End of story, no one else. And that's really, really helped, and really helped me refocus and just pretty much reinvent myself. Now I know I can knock people out. I know I can sub them. I know I can out-wrestle them. I know I can go the distance with them and beat them on decision. It's, I have all the skills that it takes. And I just got to prove it and show it, and I feel like I have for the last 3 fights, in 2012. So I look forward, to being in the gym more now and working with the coaches and them working with me and helping me fine tune, myself and I'll tell you right now, I really enjoy knocking dudes out. I like that. Subbing them is cool and all, but knocking them out, ooh, I like that.
So
that's great.
We talked to Mark a little bit about this, but is the atmosphere of Extreme Couture has changed quite a bit? He even was talking about the same thing. It's changed quite a bit in the last few years. Is that something that is the atmosphere changed there? And a lot of the guys that were training there have now branched out to other gyms to try to expand their looks and get, try to just broaden their game a little bit. Is that something that you've seen going on and that you can kind of attribute maybe you're not getting the attention you need because of that happening?
Well, as fighters, we have to grow. You can't just you know, you can't continue to do what you've always been doing. You'll get in this game. You'll be figured out. You got good coaches that are on the opposite guy's team. He's watching. He's picking you apart. He's figuring you out. You know, and if you just stay the same, over and over and over, you won't be as successful, I feel. And you don't grow as a martial artist, and that's what it's all about: is learning new things, keeping your mind open. And the thing is your coaches have to have open minds with no egos and no, problems with other coaches. And this was things that I was running into that was just negativity in the atmosphere. And it's not a good vibe. You know what I mean? Everybody's going on the same page. And if one of the coaches wants to show another coach how he holds a mitt and it's been pretty successful and Mike likes it, then go over and pick the mitts up and learn from him and do it the way that makes me feel good too. It ain't about the coach. It's not about the coach and what he's doing and how he's turning you into a fighter and all. It's not about that. You got a coach that's there to, fucking wear sunglasses when he walks out to the ring and make sure that everybody knows who he is and all that. I don't like that. I don't like that. That's bad. It's about the fighter, and that's just the way it is. The attention will come to the coaches through the fighter's success, not by, the coach trying to act like he has molded you into this, badass guy and wants all this credit for it. Coaches, there's very few coaches out there that can both wrestle, box, kickbox, hold the mitts, and be there for you, the whole time. There's a lot of coaches now that are really starting to learn, that are coming up in the newer generation that knows what an armbar is, knows what an arm drag is, knows what the Muay Thai plum is. You know what I mean? So, I think I kind of veered off a little bit from your question, but.
All right, continue on. No problem.
Yeah, but those are what make a successful fighter. A lot of those guys that you see out there that are successful right now, because they have a good group of both training partners and coaches that can get along and that can see eye to eye and do what's best for the fighter. When you have that mix, it's a great atmosphere. It's a good training room. No egos. No problem. No attitudes. Everything is kosher. Everything's perfect. And it's easier for a fighter to go out and accomplish great things. And so I don't think I answered your question, but
you did indirectly, but it's I understand. Go ahead, Pedro. You were going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to ask you, Mike, when did you make these changes? Did you make them immediately following the Rory McDonald loss, or is that something that's been pretty recent? If you said it, I apologize.
I made the decision inside of the locker room before I walked out there that night to fight Roy. There was just some things I was feeling that I just didn't like at the time at that time. I'm not going to go into details. Basically, there was just a feeling of the attention that I was looking for and needed. It just wasn't there. It reflected in the fight. It was a little screwed up for me that night. So I have my wife and I have a home in Northern California, along with a friend of mine that's on a river, and I'm a big fly fisherman. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to take off. Told the wifey, I'm going to take off for a couple of weeks and go up there, and I'm just going to reflect a bit. Something's got to change. I'm getting older. I need to make a decision. I need to not a decision whether am I going to keep fighting or whatever, just make a decision on what I want to do to make myself relevant in this sport. I've been in it way too long. I've fought a lot of great fighters throughout my time, and, still to this day I hardly get any recognition about it. That's fine. I'm not looking to try to be a superstar. You got to win, and so I get it. I've lost some big fights. But so I went up there, and I on a day-to-day basis, I was just starting to think, standing out in the middle of the river just fishing and relaxing. I'm thinking, maybe I can contact this guy, and let me contact this guy, and let's see if, see how these coaches pair up, and and it's very shortly after, directly after that fight, I took off up there, to get away, probably a week, maybe not even two. I was up there, and but that night of the fight in the locker room, getting ready for it, and I would say within a month from that point on, and a month after that, I was, weighing out a lot of my decisions, come back home, made some calls. All the coaches that I approached was like, hell yeah, man, yeah, let's do this, Well, I was like, hey, I want to make a change. As you see my last fight, I look like a dipshit. Let's. I'm ready to do something. I'd love to have you as a coach. What do you think? And they were for it. And that was it. The rest is history. I've been knocking guys out ever since. It's a great fit. All the guys I'm working with are a great fit. They work well with one another, and that and that's key. These coaches have to get along, and these coaches need to be, seeing eye to eye.
Amazing. Where do you guys culminate? Like you brought these new coaches in. Where do you spend the most of your time training now? Is it still Extreme Couture that you just bring your coaches in, or is there like an entirely new facility you go to?
Yeah, I'm no longer a member or part of the team of Extreme Couture. I've left there. I now train at Syndicate here in Las Vegas. Good close friend of mine, John Wood. That's his gym. We've been friends for 8 years. Whatever. His gym's kind of always been the same group of guys, but the names changed. It's been Zions, Warrior, Throwdown, and now Syndicate. So that's his own brand right now. Syndicate is his own brand. He's reached out beyond some of the other names that he was with, and now it's Syndicate. And it's a great gym. It's a great atmosphere. There's tons of talent in the gym now. It's really getting a lot of recognition. It's really starting to come together and forming a great, strong team. A great, strong team of coaches and a great, strong team of fighters as well.
Okay. Well, it definitely shows in your previous outings. You had an undefeated year last year, so congratulations on that. One of the reasons why we wanted you on today was there was a big welterweight card last weekend. I want to know what your thoughts on UFC 158 was. Who stood out to you most on that card, and just your overall thoughts, pretty much.
Well, I guess I'd say who stood out most of all would have been Ellenberger. Came in and did what he does best, and that's come in and be the juggernaut and just try to knock somebody's damn head off. Nate made a split-second wrong decision. It was to keep his back on the fence and give Jake a split second to throw something big where he couldn't really move out of the way, and he paid for it. That fight, stood out the most. I thought that'd be a bit more technical back and forth battle, but hey, when Jake lands a big one on you, there ain't much you can do about it with a 4-ounce glove on. The Hendricks fight and Condit fight was a good fight, good back and forth battle. It was, I figured that he would out-wrestle him. And, he's a good wrestler, Johnny. Figured that he'd out-wrestle him, but I thought Condit did a great job. He was just missing with some good shots. Johnny landed some good shots on him. You know, it was pretty solid. And he took them and shrugged them off. I don't even think he got cut, did he? He didn't even get cut from any of those shots.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he's tough, man. I'll tell you what, Connett's, you know, he's just as much as a veteran of the game as I am, but he's only 28. You know, he's been in there with some really good guys and has put on great performances. I kind of figured that he would get out wrestled, but not out fought. You know, if you ask me, I think he fought, you know, harder than Johnny, but Johnny just out wrestled him and got that octagon control and won it the way he did, but not for the lack of trying to knock Condit out, but he was giving it all. He was giving it all he could. But that was a great fight. I was very entertained with that fight. That was a really good fight. And then the Diaz fight and GSP went exactly the way that I figured it would, to the T. You know, GSP not trying to finish him ever and just taking him down and defending and pounding on him a little bit here and there and do some tricky punches, do some tricky kicks here and there, and then shoot, take him down, and then repeat. So that's how the fight went right there. I didn't see one time that GSP do anything to finish at all. But that's just me and probably some other folks. But, you know, he got the job done. He did exactly what he needed to do to win. He did it. And, you know, congratulations to him. He's a great champion. I would just, you know, I know he possesses the skills because he used to do it. I'd like to see him get there and start knocking dudes out again and finishing guys, you know.
Right.
And Diaz, of course, you know, same old Diaz, man. You gotta love him, man. He's durable, and I can't believe he didn't get cut. I can't believe he didn't get cut open, you know, all over. I guess that surgery did well for him, so that's good for him. But he got pieced up. You know, George was quick, and then of course he got out wrestled, but it was just the way I thought it would be. It was still entertaining. I would just like to see George start finishing guys.
Right. Do you think that Hendricks is the guy to give GSP the biggest challenge as of late? Because he's obviously the next number one contender. So what are your thoughts on that future matchup?
I think it'll be a tough one. I mean, you've seen GSP, you know, be caught before, and he gets wobbly. He makes good comebacks, but he, you know, not so much when he got hit by Sarah. Yeah, when he got hit by Sarah, that was on the back of the head, though. That's kind of a hard call, but he better not stand in front of Johnny, you know. He better not stand in front of Johnny. I honestly think that he can out-wrestle Johnny, though.
Right.
MMA style, I believe that he can out-wrestle Johnny. And if he puts Johnny on his back, I don't think Johnny hasn't proved himself from there as of late. So, you know, he's got to definitely work on his bottom game, because I'm almost 100% sure that Pierre will put him on his back whenever he feels like it, to be honest with you. I mean, he might he might stuff a couple here and there, but with George, the way he mixes his punches, and you know, and you just don't never know what's going to happen. You know, I don't give a shit how good of a wrestler you are. If you think you're about to get smacked in the face, your wrestling defense is out the window. You can't do both. You either got to take the shot in the face and drop your hands to get your underhooks and get a guy off, or you cover your face or move your head and the guy gets in on your legs. That's just the way it is. So I think George still come out the winner on this one. If you know, and the way that he comes forward, Johnny, we might even see George finish somebody, because he might run into something, because George's got quick kicks, and I could see him, you know, popping Johnny upside the head with a good kick. But I think it'll be like the same way like the Diaz fight. But yeah, I think it'll be a bit tougher. It's going to be a bit tougher than the Diaz fight for him.
Okay. what do you think about Nick Diaz's post-fight antics? I mean, this guy's been making headlines. Anytime he opens his mouth, he makes headlines. But the things that really stand out to me are the fact that he says he doesn't want to fight any of the younger guys coming up. He doesn't feel that he has anything to gain from that. And you're kind of a veteran, Can you sympathize with that sentiment?
I don't know if I can sympathize, but you know what? I'm not in his shoes either. He's fought nobody but the top guys for 2 or 3 years, and he's finished them all. For him to take a Gunnar Nelson fight, what is it? What is that? What is that for him, and what is that for the UFC? You know what I mean? It's not. It doesn't make money, so it doesn't make sense. I think that Diaz is a little bit smarter than people give him credit for, because he just don't really give a shit to stand there and talk about anything. He could care less about it all. He just wants to fight. So I think he just kind of comes off as, whatever, dude, whatever, You know what I mean? So I just think he just don't give two shits to stand there and talk about anything, and that's what makes him so funny. His character is one of a kind. But you know what? Being a vet, I like fighting. I like fighting. He could be burned out right now. He's been in some good wars, and his style is he'll take some shots. So maybe things are just weathered on him. I don't want to see him retire. I'd love to see him fight. I mean, he's got Ellenberger. He could fight Ellenberger. He could fight Marquardt. Marquardt ain't coming up. You know what I mean? There's guys out there that make sense, but I can't say for sure because I'm not in his shoes. I haven't been in those big fights like him and not in that position. So I don't know.
Right on. What do you want? Who do you want next? Let's say everything goes your way against Gunnar Nelson. You obviously want to make a statement with your career. You have some real good momentum going into this fight. So, who would be an ideal matchup for you? Not to look too far ahead, but I mean you have to have goals. I just want to know what they are.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind fighting Jake again. Jake Shields. I'd like to get that. I'd like to get that redemption. There's that fight. Basically, a top 10 guy, to be honest with you. There's no personal anything against any of the guys right now that I'd like to fight. Give me a top 10 guy so I can get in that top 10 spot. Man, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've never been ranked as a top 10 fighter. I thought maybe I would be getting one of those guys next. So I finished all 3 of my guys in good fashion. I went out and made a statement. I'm not sure what UFC's thoughts were on, giving me a young gun again. But whatever. This is my job. So this is my job. This is what I get paid for. My job's not to sit and try to negotiate, with him and, whatever. I'll earn my way right on up to the top, up through the ranks, and and get that title shot one day. I feel just as good at 37 as I did when I was 27. I'm smarter about my training, smarter about how I'm eating, smarter about my lifestyle. So I might even feel a little better than I did when I was 27, 10 years ago. I'm feeling great. I have absolutely no thoughts of retiring at all. My body's not saying, "Holy shit, man, what are you doing? Let's you can't do this." I feel great. Not other than the sore muscles and bumps and bruises that come with the sport. That's normal. It's just regular.
Right. So your hands raised after your next fight. Do you then kind of change your attitude towards taking any fight they give you and maybe ask for a top 10? I mean, is that something that that you'd be willing to do, or do you just let Silva give you whoever they feel is the best fit?
Well, I'm not sure what I want to do at that point when that's over. The way that I have this plan, I'll finish Gunner.
Right.
I'll finish. If he fights me the way that he's fought his last 2 fights in UFC, I'm going to finish that kid. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him, and I'm going to make another statement. And I think at that point they can't deny it. And I'll make sure I'll let them know, and in the post fight that you guys can't deny me. Let's do something here. And again, top 10 guy. Let's do a top 10 guy. I feel I'm a top 10 fighter, and they've given other top 10 spots to other guys that whatever. I will be in this next fight, after this fight, getting what I want.
Okay, that's good to know, because there's pretty much there's two thought processes, and they're the guys that are always asking for stuff that they pick and choose their opponents, and then there's other guys that will just play the company man role and take whoever the UFC gives them. So I was just curious to know if you're going to change.
Yeah, well, I never know what thought process is, man.
Right.
There's guys that can get popped twice for being on pot and get fired. Then there's guys that can be popped twice and get in and have a championship fight.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, you never know what is going on. Just fight and win, and that's the only thing in your control.
Yeah.
Decisions that they make, for whatever reason, make sense for them. And what are you going to do about it? Ain't shit you can do about it unless, unless you're the champion. You don't really got a whole lot of say in anything, basically. But hopefully, after the statement that I intend on making for this fight, that they'll see that they'll look past my age and look past my mullet and put me in a damn fight.
Right on. Go ahead.
I get it. I dropped the ball on a big fight with Roy on a pay-per-view card, and now I'm making my way back. I understand it. I understand, but after this one, you just can't deny me. You know what I mean? I've earned it. Let's do this. You know what I mean? I'm not in this to be on TV and to walk through the grocery store and everybody knows who I am. I could really give a shit less about that. I'd rather just be able to go on about my business nice and easy. So I just like what I do. I always have. Man, I was fighting back in the day when we were NHB fighters. We weren't even named MMA fighters yet. NHB fighters fighting, $200-$300 a night. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've come a long way. I didn't get into it for money to begin with. And, of course, those paychecks are nice. No doubt about it. You got to live. You got to eat. You got to raise your babies and all that. I get it. And yes, I love money. So, but I say it's not just to me. That's not what it's just all about. It's been a lifelong journey for me, and I want to make sure that in the end, I have fulfilled myself and provided a good life for me and my family. So there you have it.
Amazing. Let me ask you this: since you brought up the NHB days and way back in the day fighting, I was going to let you go after that last question, but I'm going to pry a little bit more. I want to know, what was it like in that first fight, the one on your pro record, the first one out in Memphis, Tennessee? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Fighting a guy like Rampage Jackson. I mean, first professional fight. Now
it was
superstar.
It was like a pair of Nikes in the dryer.
Yeah.
Just boom, just tumbling, and everywhere, and you can't really control yourself because I had a 205-pound strong animal throwing me around while I'm trying to sub him and trying not to be piss-pounded to death by the guy, literally getting thrown out of the ring, cornerman pushing me back in from under the rope, just pushing me back in, just go get him, and get after it. It was a big eye-opener for me. I actually had a broken hand for that fight, a couple dislocated knuckles in my right hand that I'd screwed up for probably 2 weeks before. And I stepped on the scale at 175, and he stepped on it at 206. And he cut weight to get on the scale to do that.
That's incredible. And
we went 3 rounds. I said, and we went 3 rounds, and I probably had that guy locked up in every damn submission in BJ Penn's jiu-jitsu book that he's got out, and not one of them worked.
That's amazing. And you go from that fight, and you've made this amazing career. That was 1999. Here we are in 2013. You're still going. Did that fight was that the fight that sold you? Like you're hooked on the sport, and you want to compete? Because I realize you took a couple years off after that fight, but what was it that got you into the sport full time to actually make this your lifelong career?
Well, the thing was that I started in '98. There's 5 fights that are on record, okay. And I don't remember who the names were and all that, and so there's no way I can just say, I fought Joe Schmo or whatever. So they wouldn't put it on record, and that's fine. But the thing is, with those fights, those 5 fights were done in hardly over a minute. I went in and just subbed these guys right off the bat. So it really wasn't any fight experience for me until I fought him. I thought I was the shit. But, oh, man, really? I'm going in here, I'm just lighting dudes up, and then I'd sub them whatever I want. I was like, all right, cool. Got in the ring with this guy, and we were exhausted, dude. We were both just exhausted at the end of the third. We were just done. But that fight actually kind of injured my back a little bit. That still haunts me.
Okay.
Hello?
I'm here.
Yeah, just some background noise.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, but anyway, so that opened my eyes. I took some time off to because I felt like in that fight I was too one-dimensional. I couldn't take him down to get on top, so I was dependent on being flung to the ground and trying to get some submission off, from the bottom. And my striking skills were piss poor, and I wasn't able to put him away because I hit him hard a couple times, and he just looked at me and did his typical rampage, scary-ass look shit. So that didn't do any good. So I knew, all right, here's what I got to do. I got to learn to wrestle, and I got to learn to strike, because if I can't take a guy down, which I didn't even get close to taking Rampage down, not even close, then I'm screwed. I can't just lay around on my back and try to sub everybody. I just tried that and it didn't work. So opened my eyes up. That fight taught me a whole lot, man. That you got to learn, you got to know it all. You got to wrestle, you got to be able to jits, you got to be able to, strike. You got to be able to do it all. So it just took a little time off, and started to seek out, striking, because at that point I was self-taught, dude. I didn't have any instructors when I was doing those fights. It was years before, when I was fighting, that I even had a coach to even show me one thing at all. So I was completely self-taught in a shed behind my mother's house that I trained in every day with a grappling dummy and videotapes. So, wow, that's how I came up in the game as an NHB fighter. I didn't even have training partners. It was just a dumbass dummy laying in the ground with arms sticking up that I would beat the crap out of all the time. But so that's what. Yeah, that's my story. Oh, and don't forget about the black belt magazines were showing, a couple of grappling moves from some Japanese jiu-jitsu guy. Not really Brazilian jiu-jitsu yet, but it was really starting to come around. And the Gracies were really popping, hoisting them. We're making seminars, having seminars within my realm that I could drive to, and that was actually my first jiu-jitsu instructor at all, was Hoist, following him around like a little groupie anywhere that he was close enough that I can afford and drive to, and started jiu-jitsu with him. And so that's basically how I came up in the game. And I wouldn't take a minute of it back, not even one. Those are great.
It's an amazing journey, Mike. I didn't know about all that, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then I'd moved to Europe to in exchange. I actually fought John Fitch out here in Las Vegas at the Stardust.
Right.
I think it could have been 2001, 2002. I'm not really sure there. After that fight, a Danish guy come up to me and was like, "Hey, you got I really want to teach my guys jiu-jitsu. We're primarily a stand-up European style stand-up, Muay Thai / kickboxing style, and I want to start incorporating that into my gym, grappling, so my guys can do MMA because it wasn't that big yet over there." And he was like, "Would you be interested in coming out?" I said, "Sure." His name was Brian Tellerick. I said, "Sure, man, I'll do that." Went out there for a month and liked it so much I just ended up staying over there probably about a year and 9 months, off and on. And I kind of outgrew myself over there, and I was like, you know what? Now it's time to go. It's time to go. Completely pro. I'm going to get back home, get back to the States, and then pursue this full steam. I'm going to do it. I know I can. I'm developing some stand-up skills here, and entered a few tournaments over there. Became a champion at an event that over there called Viking Fight, where I fought two guys in one night, which I wasn't happy about entering that damn tournament. Anyway, then I came back to the States, to Las Vegas, with zero money and a suitcase with my clothes in it, and that's all I had. And then I just went to John Lewis's school and got to the grind. Just started grinding and getting back up to par with my grappling and everything because it was lacking over there, but striking was on. And then entered Sport Fight, Randy's event that he had in Oregon or Portland or wherever it was, and started fighting over there at 170. That's when I started doing 170. All those other fights were at a higher, it was middleweight. And then that's it. Just started plugging away. Went on into IFL, WEC, became the champ there, IFL, UFC, and now to this interview.
Amazing. You should write a book, man. Have you wrote a book?
Yeah, but I can't spell.
Well, we need to get somebody on that. We need to get somebody on that biography. We'll get you a ghostwriter or something, man.
Yeah, I need a ghostwriter. I'm gonna ghostwrite the whip.
Yeah.
The old school guys, the old school guard is they're a rare breed at this point. The guys who came up in the beginning and were fighting.
Yeah. Yep.
If people look at your record. If people that have seen Quentin Jackson fight only in the last 5 years and have seen you fight in the last 5 years, and say, how the hell did Mike Pyle fight Quentin Jackson? How was this even possible? Because if you were to try to put that fight on now, people would think we were insane.
Well, so would I. So would I. Like BJ fought Lyoto,
You know, you fought Quentin Jackson. You know, you don't see that. It's just something that you're just not going to see anymore, and that is kind of exclusive to the guys who came up through no holds barred and not the quote unquote mixed martial, the time and era of mixed martial arts, so to speak.
Yep. And you know, and I'm glad that, you know, I came up the way I did, because every day was just a dream for me to be better, and you know, or just teach myself, you know, how to be successful at this. You know, like, how do I do this? Like, and just plugging away, and you know, have my cousin come over and grapple with me a little bit, and then my sister's boyfriend, you know, was a little interested in it, even though he was like 6'1" and 140 pounds, soaking wet. You know, grappling, you know, every day in there and teaching what I knew, and just, you know, and keep, you know, and just coming out of an old redneck town in the middle of literally in the middle of the damn woods, when in a little house, you know, like a little house in the prairie with a little shed back there, and shit, it was awesome. It was always, you know, cool to always learn something new and try to figure it out on my own. You know, no one coaching me. The only mentor I really had was Hoist. You know what I mean? I was really big on him and really loved the jiu-jitsu, and you know, fell in love with that. So yeah, I liked my journey. It developed a lot of character and a lot of, you know, guts and balls, and it just everything about it. You know, because it was scared, because no one else that I was training with at the time knew shit about fighting and never fought. Probably was never in a street fight, you know. So I'm just I got no guidance going into the fight of, you know, all right, if he hits you in the liver, act like you want to lay down and play the guard. You know what I mean? Nothing. You know what I mean? Like no guidance. Just suck it up and get after it. So yeah, it was good old days, man.
Incredible. Well, Mike, I really think you should get that book together, man. And if not, we have this audio clip to hear your story at least. It's awesome.
Right on. Well, thanks, man.